1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Bones from Home Team Sports TV, broadcasting live from Cougar Stadium, the Cougar Caves, along with Coach Chad.
How are you, sir?
Doing very well, doing very well. Thank you for giving us your time.
Thank you.
It's a big game. Now, we know Musselman is. We know they're a national power. They travel around to a lot of these tournaments. What is something that you told your kids today to prepare them for what they're about to face today and how they can beat someone that most people see as a juggernaut?
Great question. Basics and play up. We want to always stick to the basics. We will be in the right spots. If we're in the right spots, the ball's going to come to you, and we're going to try to stick it to them hard.
Now, is there anyone from Musselman that you're particularly trying to game plan for? Any particular tactics that you might have up your sleeve?
To be honest, all of them. They're all great players. They've been playing for many, many years. So I've been watching film earlier, trying to catch some exposures. There's not many. They're a great team. We're going to try to catch them off guard a couple times.
Any tendencies you've been able to see in any of the games that you may have scouted and watched them?
Just some open spots. They move very quick. They get to their spots very, very well. But they always leave something open somewhere, and we're going to try to expose it and hit it.
Now, is there anything that you try to tell your kids, like when they have big games, when you know they're going to be pumped, their emotions going to be in it? Is there anything you say, hey, right now, let's take advantage of those emotions, or take advantage of maybe them being emotional, knowing that the game is being broadcasted live on television?
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, whenever it is broadcasted, they always play great. I just always tell them focus. Stay focused. Don't fall into the quicksands. Don't let one mistake fall to another mistake, another mistake. Keep positive, keep it going, keep everybody's head in the game.
Once they start playing, obviously, they'll forget about the game being broadcasted. They'll be paying attention to their opponent. Is there anyone in particular from Musselman that you can single out that you say, it's a really good player and that we really have to be focused to make sure that she doesn't get going?
It's our Chrisman. She's a right side hitter. Hits extremely well. So, that's a spot where that gets a lot of exposure. Normally you're outside, but she's extremely well. She hits very well from that right side. So we got to walk down on that and try to knock that ball down.
And someone from your own team. Who is someone from your own team that you're excited to see tonight play on the big stage? Someone that maybe the world doesn't know about, but they're going to know about tonight.
Well, I got four great seniors. Jillian Britton, Leah Scheffler, Mackenzie Frederick, and Michaela Barrington. 2 middles, a libero, and an outside hitter. Those are my leaders, and I always lean on them. The girls lean on them, and we expect a big game from all of them.
Coach Chad, thank you for giving us your time. I know you want to get back in there and make sure the kids are warmed up properly. Definitely good luck tonight.
Thank you very much.
God bless you, man. Thank you for coming.
Go Cougars.
Switching now.
Thank you. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you.
with the best level of customer service, along with helping families with the next phase of their life. The buying and selling process comes natural to Cheryl, as her understanding of the housing market allows her the ability to answer any questions that may arise. With offices in both Jefferson and Berkeley counties, she works hard to ensure the outcome you deserve. Cheryl is the key to selling or buying your home.
Juwan is the ultimate hype guy. I love him. He's always positive. He's always pepping them up and firing them up.
Parker, work, Parker, work, Parker, work, 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 work.
And this is Akeem Holmes from Home Team Sports TV, broadcasting live from the Cougar Cage at Shenandoah Junction, where your Jefferson High School Cougars take on your Musselman Applemen. I am joined by my co-host. It's a little bit special for me, one of my really good friends from childhood, Kerry Jackson, who played collegiate league and played at Hedgesville. Kerry, we were doing a little bit of talking, before the game, about both of these teams, about the coach. This guy, he coached against you when you were in high school. What is something that you're looking forward to from both squads? Just to see where they're at and what their chances are of competing for a potential state championship.
Well, listen, I mean, you have the Musselman Applemen who have essentially created a dynasty for the past decade plus. What I'm excited to see, though, is mostly the evolution of what Jefferson has been able to build here. I'm hoping that, they put up a good fight. I've been, a Jefferson fan for many years, even though I went to Hedgesville. But Musselman's tough. They've been a tough team, again, for decades, and they're going to come out swinging hard and serving well, and it's just going to be exciting to see what they pull off.
And the thing about Musselman is they also challenge their kids. They go to national tournaments, whereas i.e. like other schools are just scheduling, maybe other high schools, they're going off and playing teams from New York, Tennessee, Texas, wherever they may be. So they actually have a national schedule. So that's something that I want to see if that translates to them being a little bit more comfortable and confident, especially with the kids knowing that this game is going to be broadcasted live.
Right. Yeah, I checked out their schedule, and not only did they do Tennessee, but I think they went down to Florida not too long ago and played teams from both Florida and Georgia. That's a big thing, especially for teams from this area. Typically, we don't get to see teams from all over the East Coast, but Sean Martz, man, he takes that team everywhere to get the best competition they can get. Win or lose, they're still going to grow from whatever happens.
And that's what makes it exciting, especially if you're a young lady growing up in Inwood, knowing that this is the next level. This is what you have to look forward to, but also puts a little bit of pressure on you as well, knowing that, hey, we're going to challenge you and you're going to compete on a national level. So you really have to put that work in before you get to high school to be able to hang with the Sean Marks team.
Oh, yeah, and, one thing that has really come up a lot even since I've played is the travel teams. When I played, I had to travel to Hagerstown to be on a team because there weren't any teams in West Virginia. Whereas now there's, I think, 6 teams in like a 30-mile radius. Yeah. And that also gives the girls at a much younger age, I think they can start at like 10, to travel around the area and see, the Maryland teams, the Virginia teams, Pennsylvania teams. And that helps them get to where they want to be when it comes to high school volleyball.
And that's the blessing that they have now that we didn't have as kids. We didn't have that. So we're going to take a quick pause while we have the national anthem. We are back live at Jefferson High School, where the Musselman Applemen will face the Jefferson Cougars. This is a big game for both teams. Musselman is just coming off of a 5-2 record at the Battle in Rocky Top in Knoxville. Jefferson had a loss last night to Millbrook. And having back-to-back games, in that back-to-back game where you may have lost the night before, what is something that you have to do mentally and emotionally to forget about the past and come out and compete at a high level the next day?
Man, when they're back-to-back, that's tough, especially at this level. But first rule of thumb for me was get a good night's sleep. You got to let what happened the previous night go, and it's a brand-new game, brand-new team, and you start over fresh, and you just keep in mind the mistakes that you made and what you need to do to fix them, come in for tonight's game.
So today's title sponsor is Cheryl Yates of ERA Realty. We have a host of new sponsors and returning sponsors that we're very appreciative of. VFW Post 3352 offering a college scholarship if you win the essay contest. Topic of that essay is why is a military veteran important? HG's Barbecue, Soul Food and Catering. Neil Powell at Down Home Insurance, Stay in the Game with Neil. Quintez McDonald Gibson at Integrity Home Mortgage. Chris Page at Quality Lawn Care. L&L Handyman Services. Money Mart Training. Catro Law. Our halftime show sponsors Quality Lawn Care from Chris Page. Our post-game show and player of the game sponsor is Money Mart Training. So we just have a serve by Musselman. The ball spiked out of bounds by the Cougar defender. Musselman leads 1-0. What is something that you may be seeing, Carrie, from the varsity serves that you didn't see when we broadcasted the JV?
A lot of times once you go from JV to the varsity ladder, you're going to find the girls are more schooled in serving to specific spots and specific players. They're going to try to avoid serving it to the libero. That's typically the best passer on the team, so you want to avoid them at all costs. And you're going to see some more tough jump floaters instead of the ball just going over the net. You know, it's going to go with a vengeance. So yeah, that's what you're going to more likely see at the varsity level over JV.
Yeah, so one thing that I want to ask, because I'm being educated as well as my viewers, is what is the significance of the players wearing the jerseys that are not like a goalie, like it's opposite of everyone else?
Okay, so that's the libero. They're usually the best passers, like I said, and they stay in the back row essentially the whole time. They can substitute in for two different players. So say that you've got like a 6'6" middle, and you'd rather have, you know, a 5'9" libero who's a little bit more educated with passing. You're going to pull them out the middle and put the libero in to play back row for that middle hitter. But the libero can never go into the front row to hit. They have to stay in the back row.
Okay. So they're never allowed to be
that was
what we just saw right
block.
there. They're not allowed to come up and actually block the spike.
Correct. They'll always stay in the back row. Now, they can get a set to hit the ball, but there's rules about breaking like the top plane of the net, but typically that it's going to be a clean hit coming from the back row if they can do that.
And are these players, you know, i.e. like a goalie or a quarterback or someone like that, are they someone that you pick out early in their volleyball career that this is most likely going to be the spot that they're going to be in?
No, actually, that position can be evolved. Me, for example, I started out as a pretty tough outside hitter, but you know, in high school, 5'9" tall. In college, it's not very tall.
Yeah.
So as I went into college, I ended up playing more in the back row as a precise passer and defensive player rather than someone big up at the net.
Yeah. And that's amazing, and it's something that you actually notice in middle school as well. You know, like your 8th grade year, you know, if you're 5'9", you're 5'10", right. You may be like the tallest kid in the school or close to it. And as soon as you get to high school that next year, you're the small fry.
Right. And that happens a lot, you know, especially with girls. They hit that growth spurt, you know, between 14, 15, and 16, and it can change everything about the way you play the game.
And was that a huge adjustment for you when you got to college, you know, playing a certain position and all of a sudden getting there, and maybe some of the skills and tools that you learned all the way through, you know, playing travel ball, all of a sudden now you got to play a different position, and those same advantages you no longer have?
It was tough not being up at the net. I always loved hitting in the outside position, but what really helped me was the fact that I did play that position. So when I was in the back row covering for my outside hitters, I would be able to see the other side of the court, and I could tell them where to swing the ball to, whether they want to go line, angle, tip, so on and so forth. And I know that was really appreciated by them, because not always when you're jumping up, you know, you're focusing on the set and on the ball, you can't really see what's happening on the other side of the court. If you have 2 blockers, 1 blocker, so on and so forth. So I think that it helped me, to be honest with you. As much as I still wanted to be in the front row, it was a good spot for me.
So essentially it made you a more cerebral player.
Yes.
By knowing multiple positions. So your IQ, your volleyball IQ went up.
Yes.
And I think that's what, like that's the most exciting thing about seeing, you know, as a parent, You know, seeing your kids grow,
Yes.
seeing them take that next step. But it's not even just the next step physically; it's the mental and emotional next step.
Correct.
Where your IQ goes up, and they start to see the things on the court that you've been seeing, you know, in the stands. You just want them to get it, and then they finally get it. It just makes it a lot more exciting.
Exactly right. It's almost just like being right up in the stands. It's like a third eye almost. Nice.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That was nice. And I just noticed that Musselman just has like a little bit more size.
They do, but what's interesting is nobody's usually over 6 foot, I think, maybe even 5'11" tops.
Yeah.
But just watch how high they jump off the ground.
Yeah, they do. And one of the things that I want to take it to like a story, like I told you guys before, we were neighbors almost our whole life, and it's funny to see the competitiveness that we all had. And Carrie, I would say a lot of that competitiveness came from your father, Donald. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, I don't know if I want to tell this story or if I'm going to tell this story, but we just took my whole family. We all went to Top Golf with my brother Jawan, and it was my brother's daughter's 16th birthday. Mm-hmm. So we go to Top Golf, and next thing you know, I remember the time when Donald had some golf clubs, and me and Jawan are outside shooting basketball, and he whistles to us, and that was his call. He whistled, and he told me and Jawan that he wanted us to try, golf. Mm-hmm. So obviously we're baseball players, so me and Jawan, we're swinging the golf clubs like baseball players, and we take our first 2 lucky shots, and we lived in the country. So like on the other side of my house was a cornfield, and we actually made the ball. We hit the ball into the cornfield. I don't know how far that was, but it was a pretty good shot. Well, Carrie, I would say 20 years later, 25 years later, however long it was, my farthest I can hit is 150 yards now. My son almost beat me. I don't know what happened or what kind of beginner's luck I had as a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old kid.
We're old now, too.
Yeah, we are old. But I was just hoping and praying that I could just bring that old juju back, but it didn't come back yet.
It's tough getting as old as we are, especially, with where we lived and what all of our parents did for us as far as athletics go. I feel that we were just bred a little bit differently than most. So we were very blessed with that.
We were. I tell everybody, I said, we treated you guys like boys.
Yeah.
It was no mercy, but but honestly, like when you guys played against us, you guys were very highly competitive, and by the time you guys had to switch over to women's sports, you were just dominant. Yeah,
and all of us, all 3 of the girls were. And again, we were just different. The way we grew up and how we saw athletics, it's not like it is today. Like, you go out for the kill for us.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I have to tell my stepson, man up, hit someone hard. And he's like, oh, well, I'll get called by the ref. No.
Yeah, we don't care.
No, right. Just do it.
And it's funny to transition, and that's why I was so excited about this broadcast, because the stories I tell my sons all the time, and they don't believe me, and I'm like, no, we were outside at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30, and we played until 10:30.
Yep.
We might have fought, we might have had whatever issues, but the next day we could not wait.
Yep.
To come back outside and play again.
Yep.
And it's just a different level of mentality that we have. I'm hoping that they can get it in time, but it is. Times have changed.
Yeah.
So Musselman is leading 14-3 right now, and the talent and explosiveness of the Musselman players has definitely shined through. Right there, that's a level of confusion, knowing that they've kind of gotten blitzed early. Being down 15-3. Is this a time where you want to call a timeout and maybe get your team together?
Yes, as a coach, I typically try to not let it go more than 7-8 points before I call a timeout.
Nice.
At this age, it's very difficult for them to mentally stay focused. Nice touch. So at some point within X amount of points, you got to call a timeout to help the girls refocus. Yeah. In Jefferson, they're scrappy, man. They're getting touches on the ball and stuff, but it seems that it's a little chaotic.
Yes.
over there on that
And that's
side.
where I see. I'm just looking for that one leader that when things just got a little bit ugly real quick, that they kind of got their team together, let them know that's going to be okay.
Right.
Keep competing, because it's obvious. Musselman is different.
Yes.
They have a different environment, a different little swag to them. And I think for the Jefferson fans and the parents, obviously you just want to see competition to compete, and that from the first set to the second or potentially the third set, that they compete a little bit harder and be a little bit more competitive.
Right. Like it's 18-3 now. No timeout's been called, and there's been no adjustments really made as far as the serve receive goes. And that's what we were talking about before we started here. There's not really any other sports where you get 2 to 3 seconds to make a decision before the ball gets to you. Serve receive technically should be one of the easiest things because you see it the entire time the second it leaves the server's hand until it crosses the net to get to you. But there's no adjustments being made, and it seems like Musselman's server is just having a field day over here, picking her spots and hitting them and getting the points.
And what is this setup where there's such a big gap in the middle? Is this normal?
Yeah, it is normal. It's normal serve receive. But
Okay.
by this point, like I said, I would have made some adjustments. They might be trying to hide a player from getting a serve.
Okay.
But yeah, they seem a little down now, and they got to do something to get pepped back up, or this is going to quickly carry over into set 2.
And the score is 21-3 right now, and Musselman is rolling. I want to say they probably had at least 11 straight points on serve.
At least, yeah. And this is Musselman's libero serving right now. That was out.
Okay, so with the liberos, are they typically not your better servers?
No, I mean they can be just as good as the rest. They only get to serve once, though. Even though they sub in for 2 people, they only get to serve 1 time.
Okay. And that way, you're not trying to use it as a strategic,
Right.
to be able to get someone to go multiple times when they're not eligible.
Let's see if Jefferson can get back up here.
What I like about Musselman is I like their communication. You can just tell, to me, what it seems like. You can just tell that they've played more games together. They have a lot more cohesion right now.
Yes.
On that national schedule. Now, is there a limit in high school of how many games that Musselman can play throughout the year?
Yes, there is a limit, but it's different when you play tournaments. Tournaments only count as, I think it's maybe 2 matches.
Okay.
Even though they can go to the tournament and play 5 or 6 or 7.
So it's smart. It's very smart
Yes.
to enter into tournaments as opposed to scheduling multiple games.
Yeah, and the thing with them is they're so deep with their boosters for volleyball is, a lot of the teams around here can't afford to go to tournaments where it's a $600-700 entry fee plus travel, plus hotels and stuff. So they're very fortunate with their program.
And I think a lot of it as well is, when you go to a Musselman and you're a volleyball player and you're going there to play volleyball, you're committed.
Oh, yes.
And your parents are committed. Because we know from playing sports, the great athletes have parents that are also committed. As much as we played, we weren't home a lot. We were gone.
Not much at all.
We were gone a lot. With whatever particular sport that you're playing. So it's definitely a commitment from not only the player but your parents and siblings as well. And I think that when you go to Musselman, it's kind of like Jefferson baseball, Martinsburg football.
Yes.
The level of commitment is already there if you want to go there and play.
And expectation.
Yes.
You go to Musselman, you know what you're going to get as an athlete.
And that first set has been completed with Musselman 25 and Jefferson 5. So we will take this time to thank our sponsors, HG's Barbecue and Soul Food Catering, VFW Post 3522, Chris Page at Quality Lawn Care, Quintex McDonald Gibson at Integrity Home Mortgage, Neil Powell at Down Home Insurance, our title sponsors, Cheryl Yates of ERA Realty, L&L Handyman, and Money Mart Training, who will be our post-game show and player of the game sponsor. So as we got done the first set, Kerry, I find it hard to believe to pick out one player that would be the player of the game, because it looks like they've subbed out. Each player that's come in has contributed. They're all very talented. If you're the coach for Musselman right now, what are you telling your players just to ensure that they're not going to get lax and potentially have a lull in their mental in their mentals, as opposed to, like you said, going out for that kill and say, let's go ahead and go home?
I think what we're going to see coming up in this next set is Coach Martz doing some more substitutions, getting the rest of his bench line in. But if I were the coach, I would have them focus on things that they're working on. So, like, don't always go out for the big kill. Try to see where the open spots are on the court. As a hitter, try to find the setter to get the ball to her first so it takes her out of the setter's position. Little technique things like that. That's what I would be pushing for them to do at this point.
So it's not even trying to end the game as quickly as possible. It's actually working on it a little bit, working on some things that you might be beneficial, once things get a little more serious during playoff time and potentially states.
Right.
No, was there a team in states that you always knew they were going to be good, that now that you check on volleyball, they're still a perennial power outside of Musselman? Like, is there any other schools on the other side of the state that was always tough competition?
Yeah. Our biggest competition was always Parkersburg, Big Red. And actually, I hate to say this, but that's the one team we never beat. Yeah. We beat Capital, we beat Parkersburg South, we beat just about everybody, but they're the one team we never were able to beat, and the coach always reminded us of that. Even though we were state champions, he was like, hey, we're the one team. We
don't matter.
We never lost.
Yeah, if I get that state championship, it don't matter.
That's what we said.
But the thing about Parkersburg was really good. They were tough in football as well. Just playing against them, they were real tough. So
yeah, they've always been a powerhouse in most sports, and so many other schools have changed now. For example, we didn't have like Morgantown High School and stuff like that when we were playing, and I know they're a big volleyball powerhouse as well.
So like that's what's fun now about watching these kids play, is this also checking back to like when you were competing at these levels and seeing some of those schools, are still like competitive. Like I said, I don't really see Parkersburg South and Parkersburg, winning state football championships anymore.
Right.
But seeing.
Like Spring Valley didn't exist.
Yeah, they didn't exist.
I have no recollection of them as a high school, and now, man, they're hitting it with football and volleyball.
Yeah, Spring Valley's real. Last year, who was the team that beat Musselman in the state championship? I think
it was Spring Valley.
Was it Spring Valley?
Yeah, they've been the ones in state, I think, to give Musselman their biggest competition.
Yeah.
And man, Musselman's front row, they're swinging away and doing a great job.
They're so cohesive.
They are.
That's kind of what I like about watching Musselman play. They're very cohesive. You could tell their nonverbal communication, is good.
And that's something that you can't really coach that. I've tried, and to have that togetherness and knowing what the players to your left and right are going to do, you can't teach that. That's something that they instill in themselves by trusting their teammates.
Yeah. Now, Carrie, I'm going to ask you a personal question. Do you have your baby girl already with a volleyball in her hand?
Oh yeah, she is 6 years old, and she's a part of the Little Eagles program at Hedgesville.
I can't wait to support her. I can't wait, because I know you're going to have her ready.
Oh yeah, she's been, since I coached a couple years ago, she would come to practices and all that stuff, and she just loves it.
And that's what's that's the only thing that it is exciting about getting older. Is being able to see your kids and your friends' kids grow up. Wonder if they have any of the similar personalities or interests that you may have.
Yeah, she's a spitfire, I'll tell you that much. But the hardest part is sitting on the sideline and not saying anything.
It is.
Even though she's 6, I still want to go out and correct her and tell her what to do. But at this point, I have to trust the coaches. Yeah,
and it's a little bit harder because we grew up and, like you said, we played a game, and we feel like we know a lot. We honestly we do, but it's sometimes being able just to back off, and letting them grow. I actually had a conversation with my son not too long ago where he said that he actually started to get better. Once I kind of let him learn how to figure things out himself, he didn't want to hear me, talk too much.
Oh yeah, that's how Braden was with football and stuff. Because I grew up the way I did, I know a lot about most sports, and I'm trying to explain to him certain things, and you know, he might have been 10, 11, 12 years old not listening to me, but now he's coming out and saying things that I have said, and I just sit back and I'm like, ah.
Yeah, they have to get it on their own. They have to get it on their own
They
terms.
do, yep.
And one thing I would say is it's like now, honestly, like, you know, having, like you said, having multiple kids, and you know, congratulations, you know, having another one coming. It's honestly, it's amazing to see what personalities come out, and actually, and you know, in raising mine, I see a lot of Juwan in my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more of him in my son than myself. No, there's some aspects about myself that obviously that he has, but when it comes to that sports and competitiveness, I don't have to say much.
Yeah.
I don't have to say much to him. You know, whenever he's ready to go, he's ready to rock, and you know, it is what it is. And me, like, I like to get over that little initial punch, little nervousness, and then I'll be fine. Where he just comes out and he's just ready. He has that edge to him, and I love it. But that also, you know, when you're trying to tell him something that you might have seen, he might not want to listen until he makes that mistake, and then he'll look up at you and like, all right, you ready? Yeah, you ready to listen now? But that's what makes them great.
Right.
That's what makes them who they are. It's like the same thing with you. Like, I remember, like, growing up and just seeing you and your dad interact, and, you know, Donald being a little upset and you just looking over at him. I got it. And then you, like I said, you take over that game, and
I'll tell you, he did that all through college.
Yeah.
I would get a whistle from the stands, and just like you said, the whistle, and you look up at him, and you know, it's either a, you know, get your head out of your butt and play the game, or settle down, everything's fine. You know, and sometimes you just need that little bit of reassurance.
Yeah, and it's the trust, because one thing that I can say is that it got so serious for us that we would use you guys' little light, your motion light in the back. You would be outside either playing volleyball late at night, or we would use that light to play basketball in the backyard. And, you know, our parents knew that we were safe. You know, they knew we were safe, but they wanted it for you just as bad as you wanted it for yourself.
Yes.
So, like, you could just tell that, you know, like, you know, it'd be 10:30 at night, and finally our parents are like, hey, you guys got to come inside.
Time.
But, you know, I don't think that I could ask for a better childhood, better friends, better parents to grow up around, playing hide-go-seek and catching lightning bugs. Your dog, remember your dog Cookie?
Yeah, Cookie.
I remember stepping in dog poop, you know, all the time, messing up my new school shoes.
It happens. It happens, because she was always out with us.
Yeah,
she ran faster than the deers.
She was.
Deer.
She was.
Yeah.
So right now, this is a lot more competitive second set. Where the score is 6-4 Musselman right now. Actually, it'll be 5-6. So this is what we talked about earlier, where we wanted to see Jefferson come out and be a little bit more competitive in the second set. And I think we got to see that with the JV as well. That second set was a little bit more competitive. I think it was 25-21.
Yes, serving looks a little bit more tough with Jefferson. As I say that, they unfortunately serve out. But it looks like she was trying to spot serve, and that's what, at this level, you want to try to do. The libero for Musselman, she's back to serve again. She's a great passer, so at all costs, you want to keep that serve away from her. Yeah.
And I think what we're seeing from Jefferson a lot better this set is communication. They seem like they're a little bit more cohesive, but she's a problem.
The hitters for Musselman, they're clean hits. They're getting great sets. The setter is not having to move very far, so that means the passes are getting to her where she needs them to be. And it just seems like Jefferson's not able to get the block where it needs to be at.
And what is the regulation size of the net in high school?
Oh, man. 6'2", maybe?
Okay.
I could be completely wrong. I just know when I raise my arms, the tips of my fingers can curve over the net.
Yeah. And does that change in high school? I mean, in college?
No, it stays.
Okay.
Yeah, the only difference is I think men's is higher than a women's net, and then the little kids, theirs is usually a little bit lower.
Okay. So when you have those 6'3", 6'4" volleyball players, especially at the college level, oh my gosh, I can imagine just the power that comes when they spike.
I remember I was playing in a tournament, might have been like in Indianapolis with my junior Olympic team, and our middle got hurt. And again, I'm 5'9", so I wasn't nearly tall enough to be a middle blocker. They're usually the tallest. And we played against a team. Can't remember where they were from. Might have been New York, Synergy, New York. And this girl comes across the net, and I'll never forget it. And her wingspan had to have been 3/4 of the net. She goes up and swings with her right hand and just drills the ball with her left hand. And I looked at my coach and I said, I'm not doing this. Well, come to find out, that player ended up being Kim Glass, who played at Arizona State and for the Olympic team. So, I mean, it's kind of cool to say that I got to do that,
against her.
But it was the most horrifying moment in my volleyball career.
And that's what you say. You jump up with your right hand and smack it with your left.
Yep.
That's
it
that's
was like a
fake.
trick play. Yeah, she faked us out, and I've never, to this day, I've never seen it again. But it was unreal.
And that's it's funny because you really don't get those experiences until you travel.
Right.
You know, like when we play locally or even in the tri-state area. I mean, there's definitely levels of talent, and great job by Jefferson, where the score is 9-8 right now. But there's definitely levels of talent. But it would take me back to a story that happened in travel baseball. I was watching my son pitch, and they were down in Delaware, and a team from a top-rated team from New York comes, and my son he had an amazing tournament pitching-wise, strikeouts. The team got to the championship game, and we play against this team from New York. And I remember him cruising through the first inning, and then coming up in the second inning, and all their players were 6'1", 6'2", and the kid hits the ball, and I think the ball goes to space. And my son looks over at me. He never seen anything like this, and I'm just like, man, this is what happens. In travel sports, you get to realize that there's just another level out there that you can get to in time. But, it's kind of like a little dose of reality that there are players out there that have that passion, who get lucky to have that unbelievable size, speed, and strength.
Right.
But I'll just never forget it, where I didn't even know where the ball went.
Yeah, and, the most you can say is, listen, that's probably the only time you're ever going to experience that.
Yeah, you're not, and I don't think it's
level.
ever happened from that point. But, for him to be able to see that was a humbling experience. And I think,
sure.
And I think, that was kind of like what you were saying with Kim Glass. Like, you knew you were good. You knew you were a very talented volleyball player, but you saw, like, the next level. And you knew at that point, for me to get to where I want to go, I got some more work to do.
Yes, and it was a big eye-opener. And another one was, I remember I was in the weight room at Hedgesville, and I think I was doing squats or something that I didn't want to do. Girls didn't do that, in the early 2000s and late 90s and stuff. And my coach, Coach Rue, Kevin Manette, he got in my face and yelled at me and said, "Which college do you want to go to?" And I was like, "I want to go to Penn State." He's like, "You're never going to make it. You're 5'9". He said, "So you need to try harder and try for something else." And that's what I did. I accepted what I was and just worked harder, got stronger, got quicker, got smarter, and it's all the experiences that I had that gave me those abilities to be able to see where I wanted to go and where I would fit in with my volleyball career. And
the crazy thing about it is, a coach say that now, and some of these kids might get offended and might want to quit.
Yes.
Whereas we went home and told our parents that we want to quit because the coach said something like that. They would look at you like you were nuts.
Yeah, that stuff didn't happen with us, and I don't know if it's, just the changing of the times, or if it's, I look at Jefferson, and I think for a couple years they haven't had consistency with their coaching, whereas Musselman, Sean Martz has been the coach for, I'm not even going to say how long because that's going to give away how old I am. But when I was in school, I played against him. So that's been consistency in this county, in Berkeley County, for this program, and I think that matters a lot.
It does. And to have an elite program and to compete against someone like a Musselman, you do need that consistency. So I hope Coach Chad does stay. I know that Wildwood has an amazing volleyball team, and I think you have a cousin that plays
little Olivia,
on the team. Anymore. And so hopefully with those kids coming up, and I seen Olivia was here earlier today, I hope that they have that mentality where they know it's going to be a tough battle, but they want to compete against someone like a Musselman. And having that talent, I know that my son and his friends who play at Wildwood as well went to support the Wildwood volleyball team yesterday. And I just hope that as a community, know that these kids will actually take that fire to want to compete against a great team like that, to see where they're at. And that other communities who do the same way.
I see that fire in her. She's very fortunate. She's playing travel volleyball just like I did when she was younger. When I was younger, she started right around the same age. And, you know, I think her team has made it to nationals down in Florida for the past 2 years, which is great for these girls in this area to get to go experience.
Yeah, I was able to be able to get updates on that team from my son. He has some friends that play on that team, Kelsey and a couple others that he was like, oh, Dad, they're nice. They won, they won this tournament, or they're playing there. So it just seems like, as a community, these kids are standing behind each other, supporting each other. And I know that's what Musselman has. Look at that. Look at their student section right there.
They came all the way from Musselman to.
Yeah, you have the Money Mart player of the game, Troy Wollaston, right now cheering on his team and his friends. And that's what you need. That's what you need to win. You need a support system. You need a community to be able to build a brand. And Musselman definitely has a brand when it comes to volleyball.
Yep. And that's something that, the kids needed out there. The boys seem to get it for football and basketball, so it's nice to see. That was a great hit by Hannah Howard. But it's nice to see the school supporting the girls as well. Yes.
So right now in the second set, we have Musselman leading Jefferson 18-12. We would like to thank our title sponsor, Cheryl Yates of ERA Realty. VFW Post 3325, offering a college scholarship if you win an essay. The topic of that scholarship is why is a military veteran important? HG's Barbecue and Soul Food Catering, Neil Powell at Down Home Insurance, Quintez McDonald Gibson at Integrity Home Mortgage, Chris Page at Quality Lawn Care, L&L Handyman Services, Money Mart Basketball Training, Catro Law, and our halftime show sponsor Quality Lawn Care for Chris Page, and our player of the game and post-game show Money Mart Training. So right now the score is 18-13. I'm joined by my co-host, Carrie Jackson Kirk. And Carrie, we got to see Jefferson be a little bit more competitive this set. We don't know if it will transition or it will translate to a third set, but obviously we wanted to see the competitiveness.
Yeah, I think that they've come back out a little more feisty. Their serves have been more on point. See some smiles on their faces, even though they're down right now, which is always a help. But again, the libero for Musselman's up to serve, and she's spot serving them. It was a great serve receive right off the bat, but it doesn't seem that they're getting blocks up for Musselman's front line. And when you leave an open hitter, especially those that are skilled like these girls here at Musselman, it's just not going to happen. You're unfortunately not going to get the point there. It's a free-for-all.
And it seems like after the set and after, Jefferson, might either return the volley or whatever it may be, there's too much space that's created. Yes. And Musselman always seems to find that gap.
Yeah, Musselman's transitioning is much more crisp than Jefferson's, transitioning from offense to defense. Jefferson seems to take them a little bit longer if they can make it to where they need to be, but it needs to be much, much faster in order to put up any type of defense against the Applemen.
Yes. So a question I want to ask, Carrie, and this is a question that I feel like nowadays there's such a debate about specialization for volleyball, and you played volleyball at a high level and you played in college. Is it a sport, do you feel like, that you do have to donate the majority of your time to this one sport to maximize yourself, or can you see kids be able to play multiple sports and still be an elite volleyball player? I just want your personal opinion. I know I'm putting you on the spot.
It breaks my heart when kids quit other sports to focus on one sport, especially if they quit volleyball. But I will say, as a child, 13 years old in junior high at Shepherdstown, I played volleyball year-round, which, for the travel team, it's expensive. In the winter, I also played basketball. And then in the spring, I played tennis. And I remember my freshman year, I played basketball at Shepherdstown. We were going against Martinsburg, and I messed my knee up. And that's when my parents came to me and said, like, look, we're spending a lot of money for travel ball, and you can't play now because of basketball.
Yeah.
This is going to be your last season doing one of the two. And obviously I chose volleyball.
Yeah.
I liked basketball, but I wasn't really good at it. I was just tall for my age.
You weren't bad. You weren't bad. I remember you played soccer early as well.
Yep, I did. Yeah, I played soccer too. Mitch Bradley, man.
Yeah.
Miss him a lot.
Yeah.
But
shout out to the Bradleys.
Yes. But I will say I kept playing tennis because it helped with my arm movements for volleyball. And the schedule was not so strenuous that I couldn't do both.
Yes.
So I think that you can find your happy medium, especially with parents that support you and, push you to do well. And my coaches always knew, unfortunately with high school, that travel ball came first, because they knew that's what I was going to play in college. Still went to states every year for tennis and stuff and had a great experience, but I even played a little bit in college.
Yeah.
But volleyball was my number one. But I do think that being a multi-sport athlete is key, because you learn more about your body, you learn more about yourself, your mental strength. Tennis, for example, is a one-on-one game. It's you against the other person. And the mentality, the toughness that I gained from that, I couldn't have gotten that with a team sport.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to be a multi-sport athlete.
So the second set goes to Musselman, 25-22. We'll go to a quick commercial break.
Liberty Realty. With over 30 years of experience, Cheryl provides each of her clients with the best level of customer service, along with helping families with the next phase of their life. The buying and selling process comes natural to Cheryl, as her understanding of the housing market allows her the ability to answer any questions that may arise. With offices in both Jefferson and Berkeley counties, she works hard to ensure the outcome you deserve. Cheryl is the key to selling or buying your home.
We are back at the Cougar Cage, where the Jefferson High School Cougars are facing off against the Musselman Applemen. I am joined by my co-hosts, Carrie, Jackson, and Kirk. And Carrie, right now, Musselman is up 2-0. The first set was very dominant. The second set was a little bit more competitive. If you're Jefferson's coach right now, what are you telling your team to get back into this game?
It's the same as the first. They need to just stay focused on filling the holes, and especially serve-receive. Jefferson had a decent amount of missed serves that game, though they were serving tougher than the first one, so that's what got them a lot of the points. And it's just really stay focused on doing what they're doing well and try not to think too much about the mistakes that have been made.
Now, is there something that you're a Musselman? Is there something that you tell your team to keep your kids focused? I mean, I feel like there was a little bit of lapse in that last set. Something that you want to go out there and repeat that first set? Something you could tell them, hey, let's go back to that same mentality we had when the game first started?
Well, like in the second set, with what Musselman does, I think that they're going to continue subbing in their bench to get some playing time. It looks like he's still keeping his heavy hitter Hannah Howard in. She's the outside, just got a great kill. Yep, she'll go far.
She's good.
And really, I don't even think Coach Martz needs to say too much in instances like this, because the girls know. They know what their job is, and they go out and they do it, whether they're up 18-21 or down, 0-12.
And you can see it. They're a very self-motivated group.
And that makes the coach's life a lot easier.
Yeah. One thing I do like about Anna. Is it Anna? Hannah.
Yeah.
My apologies, Ms. Howard. She switches it up. Sometimes she'll come up and she'll have that power spike. Sometimes she'll come up with a little soft volley touch.
Yes.
So that's something that I've actually learned from watching this game. Typically, when I think about volleyball and I see that person who comes up and they're that power striker, you would think that, all right, they're going to come up and they're going to do that every single time. But she switches it up.
And she's got a finesse about it as well. Typically, you can read what a hitter's going to do by their approach and their arm speed and how they hold their hand. But with Hannah, it's a shot in the dark. She gets up there so fast, and all of her movements are so fast and crisp that at the last minute she'll change it to that tip, and it's because she's seeing what's happening on the other side of the court. She's seeing that open spot for the tip right on that 10-foot line or the 6 for the kill. And
for the sport of volleyball, are you guys big on watching film? Like, is it something that, you like when you play? Did you like to watch a lot of film to see the tendencies of a player that, had a huge impact on, on what you're going to be doing in that game? Did you like really pay attention and watch that film, stay and watch that game if it was a tournament, just to see the player's tendencies of somebody that you might have to compete with?
Honestly, I didn't watch a lick of film until I was a coach. Back in the day, we had the big camcorders and stuff.
VHS.
And it wasn't, like I said earlier, the game has evolved so much that even picking apart what the other team is doing by watching film wasn't a thing when we were younger. Heck, I just learned how to use Huddle like 5 years ago.
I just learned like last year.
Yeah, it's changed. The evolution of volleyball, it's completely different now, and it's so great for these kids to have this because it gives them other avenues to look at other than just what they're doing. They can figure out what the other team is doing as well. Yeah,
which takes us to something that Home Team Sports TV is going to be bringing to you guys very soon, the archives.
Oh, Lord.
And Carrie, we're going to ask you for some of those old clips. We're going to bring out the archives for all you ex-athletes. Everybody, telling your son that you were about to go pro, but you hurt your knee. We're going to get a chance to see ya. So send those tapes in. Home Team Sports TV, the archives, coming to you soon.
That's digging them out. I still have, when we went to States, one of the parents or someone in the boosters made this amazing clip, like maybe an 8 to 10 minute tape about like our whole season and stuff. And I still have that sitting in a tub, and it's on a VHS, and it's amazing.
So we're gonna have to get that. We're gonna get that converted over. You send it in. We'll get that converted to a DVD for you, or whatever they call it now. I don't know. I'm old, so I call it DVD. But get that sent over, because it would be great for the kids to be able to see their parents in action. But the crazy thing is, when I watch those tapes now, it looks old. You remember like when we were kids and we would watch 80s TV shows or some game in the 70s that my parents might have watched. And I'm like, man, this looks ancient.
Specials.
Yeah, it looks ancient. And then now we're looking back and, we're in our 30s now, but we're the old ones. We're no longer cool. We're no longer the cool kids. We're the old parents.
Even the uniforms, like I'm looking at what these two teams have on, and man, our stuff was crap compared to this. Yeah. These are nice uniforms.
But we were baggy. We were saggy. We were more saggy and baggy back in the day. So I remember going to school and a fad of Jinko jeans. And
it's all coming back, right?
Oh my gosh, please don't.
The wide legs and the bell bottom and boot cut, it's all coming back. I teach high school and I see it all, and I'm just like, man. The 90s were not a good age for fashion, and they should have stayed in the 90s.
Nah, but I will say though, the crisscross where we had the overalls we wore back, that was a little bit swaggy. I like that. But those Jinko jeans need to stay in history. please, young guys, please,
Yes.
young ladies, don't go back to that.
No.
It looked like parachutes.
Yes, it was awful. Do you remember Dad's MC Hammer pants?
Yes.
That he'd mow the grass in?
Oh,
The
man.
purple ones. I bet you he still has them
He probably still
somewhere.
got those hammer pants.
I'll have to ask him. I guarantee you he still has them.
I remember, actually, to be honest with you, I went to shoe shopping with my wife, and I seen a pair of sandals, and we called them Jesus sandals. I knew my dad used to always wear them all the time. He would wear the Jesus sandals with some jean shorts, and he would tuck his polo in, and I was just like, man, someday I'm going to be that dad where I'm not going to dress like that, but we're going to have a style that they're going to look at us. They're going to look at us like, what are you wearing? Well, that time has come.
My husband got some Hey Dudes.
Yes, I love those
And
shoes.
so do I, but the 15-year-old stepson is not a fan, and he calls them the Jesus shoes. And it's just amusing to hear. And I'm like, but you wear purple Crocs.
Yes. Oh
So-
my. And those are for nurses. Like Crocs originated for nurses and
yes.
doctors that spend a lot of time on their feet. And those Hey Dudes, I'm telling you, I love them.
Yeah,
You
don't
know?
sleep on the Hey Dudes. I'm a
Yeah.
fan.
My friend TJ had them the other day when we were doing the change for the Wildwood football game, and I looked down at his shoes and I said, "You got the Hey Dudes?" And he was like, "Yeah, they're obviously very comfortable." And I said, "My son just looked at some Hey Dudes the other day and said, Dad, I guarantee you you don't like these. You don't get a pair." And I said, "You're darn right I am. You're darn right."
Yep, I'm a fan. And I have the Jesus sandals too.
Oh,
I get made fun of.
we like comfort. As you get
Yes.
older, it's more comfort than it is anything else.
It really is.
So right now we have Musselman leading Jefferson 11-5 in the third set. Jefferson has been more competitive these last two sets as opposed to that first set. Macy Chrisman with the spike. Mackenzie Brezovic. She's a basketball star for Jefferson High School.
Seeing some new faces on the Musselman side as well.
Yeah, Musselman is just so talented.
Yep.
I would love to continue to follow them, especially like as they go down the states and see them compete against those other powerhouse teams. Because you can look at this Jefferson team, you can just tell they're young. They're a very young team. So Jefferson is going to be a team that in the future they're going to be highly competitive. And you add those Jefferson girls with those Wildwood kids you got coming up, those Shepherdstown Middle School girls you got coming up, and Jefferson has a bright future. If those kids continue to buy in to the program and put that extra work in that's needed to be able to compete.
And see, like what we just saw right here is, as a coach, one of the things that bothers me the most. So there was a great hit on Musselman. Jefferson's back row dug it up, and it was off the court. Only one girl went after it, and the rest of the team stood on the court. So had the girl busted her butt, and she got a hand on it, but it wasn't quite good enough. If she got it and put it back up, nobody would have been there to get the ball back over.
Yeah.
And that's just almost an immaturity for the game from the other players, just to not think to follow off the ball wherever it goes off the court in order to get it back over.
It's that effort and competitiveness
Yes.
right there. Even though right now you seem like
they think it's done,
exactly,
and
over.
it's not.
And even though that things aren't looking the brightest for you, and it doesn't seem like you're gonna win this set, you still want to see the
That was
competitiveness.
a great spot right there that she just did for Jefferson.
Yeah. Mackenzie's been highly competitive for the Jefferson team, number 15. And you would just like to see some of the younger players feed off of her energy and the competitiveness that she has to be able to send their game to that level.
Right. And that's what a leader is really able to do, and that's something else. Just like with the competitiveness, you can't coach that.
Either you have it or you don't.
Right.
Either you want it or you don't want it.
That's a great
That's
up.
competitive right there.
That's a great up. Yep.
And even though it didn't lead to them getting points, that was still a competitive point right there.
And see, I would have cheered for that, because even though the libero for Jefferson, she didn't quite get it where it needed to be, she got a hand on it, and that's better than the ball just hitting the floor.
Yeah.
Because now the hitter knows someone's in that spot. That spot is not open anymore. I need to change it up.
And that's what we talked about earlier. Remember, I kept speaking about the hole in Jefferson's defense. She actually fielded that time.
Yep, she did.
So what was that right there? What did Jefferson do that
was,
led to that foul?
The setter lifted the ball, so when you set, you have to quickly flick your wrists and get the ball out of your hand. She held on to it just a little too long.
Kind of like a push.
Yes.
Okay. 17-16 Musselman.
Libero serving again.
And when I noticed that when she serves, the ball like barely gets over the net.
Yes. Yeah, she's got a great serve and she knows where to put the ball.
And those serves are always harder when you don't have a lot. You don't have a lot of space. So like they typically hit the middle of your forearm.
Yep.
Now, was there someone in your career that you hated defending their serve?
The Bradleys.
Yeah.
Whenever we played against Jefferson, Caitlin and Megan, they had the best serve. And it went anywhere. Like it had this float to it, and it made the ball move. And Amanda Sunday, I remember her serves a lot.
Yeah. You know, so it's just crazy, like hearing those names. You know, and this. I want the kids.
It came to me quickly, like it's something that you don't forget.
And I want these kids to appreciate the time that they have, like, for a 12 to 13 year period of your life. These people are a part of your everyday life. Like every single day, you know you're gonna see these people. And I remember being a senior in high school, and we were having our senior speech, and the individual said, "There's gonna be people that, after you leave today, you're not gonna see these people again." Right. And it was at that point it was hard to like even fathom like that's true,
right.
Because you actually grew up with these people from the time that you were 5 to you were 17, 18 years old.
Right.
And now, 21 years later, there's people I can sit right there and say that I have not seen them since I graduated in 2001.
Yeah. Yeah, my 20-year high school reunion's coming up this summer, and I'd like to go ideally. But I know there's going to be people there, and I probably won't even remember their names.
Yes.
And that makes me feel bad.
It's just amazing, though, like when you really think about it, that, you know, there's just people that you really haven't seen, you know, and you stay connected through Facebook, like, you know, like some of my good friends, like Ryan Solvay and Scott Busey and all those, Justin Donlin. And obviously, I have my cousins, you know, that I've stayed close with because we're family. But like some of my really good friends from like Jefferson Elementary School and Jefferson Junior High School, and I just showed my age right there. I said Jefferson Junior High School.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I don't have 37 years. You know, I can't dig with you there, but it's just crazy, you know, just thinking that I actually have kids that I've graduated with, and I'm still in my 30s, but some of them are like 41, 40 years old, and I'm just like, good gracious, like I'm really, you know, getting close, and I just had a baby, you know, like my wife just had a baby.
Yes.
So we're going to be those old parents, Carrie.
It's like my
in our
parents.
50s. Yeah, we're going to be in our 50s and running around still, you know, running around our courts.
Yep, I'm my mom's age when she had me, and now I'm due in January, so it's going to be interesting.
You guys know what you're having yet?
A girl.
Oh, you're having a baby
Another girl, yeah.
Congratulations, Carrie.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, it was a surprise. Complete surprise.
It's a beautiful surprise.
Yes.
You know, one thing we're going to have to do, we're going to have to get our kids together.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Because, you know, obviously, you know, I just had a baby boy. Juwan has had another baby boy.
I know it.
Little Dashy had his 2 month birthday. It was 2 months on this earth. You know, husband and Annie's husband, Alberta.
Old school block party.
That would be awesome. Have our kids run around, and I guarantee you we're going to look at one of these kids and be like, oh, that's Keem. Oh, that's Juwan. Yep, that's how Carrie acted. That's how Alberta and Annie acted. But, you know, to our kids, you know, obviously, you know, you have an older son who's at Spring Mills, and we will be at Spring Mills High School this Friday to broadcast his game. Braden?
Yep, he's the center.
So we definitely look forward to seeing Braden on Friday, and you know, and obviously those games are games where you actually take special interest, knowing that, you know, that's a kid of, you know, someone that you actually, you know, grew up with and you care about. So definitely good luck, young man, on Friday going against the Jefferson Cougars.
Yes, and you know, we're fortunate to have Facebook.
Yeah,
because I follow our friends' kids.
Yeah,
Scott Stobbs, his son,
Dayton's,
went pretty far. Yes.
Yeah, Dayton's really good
at
baseball.
with baseball, and you know, it's just cool seeing, you know, what the kids are doing.
Yeah, it is. It is actually it's crazy. And this is 24-11. Musselman really locked in.
Yeah, they finished it up quite well.
So let's see if Jefferson can extend this game.
There you go.
That was one where I think she was
helps
even
him out a
shocked.
little bit.
I think she was even shocked that that occurred, with Musselman leading 24-12 in the third set. Musselman leading 2-0.
And I'm still surprised that there haven't been timeouts from Jefferson's side.
Yeah, the coach. I feel like the coach with a young team.
Yeah.
He just wanted to let them play.
Yeah.
So obviously,
But
I think that they wanted to
they
compete.
stayed up on themselves. I didn't see, too many angry faces or anything like that. They kept fighting till the end.
Yeah. With Musselman student section celebrating with the Musselman Applemen. So we'll take a quick commercial break with Musselman winning the game 3-0. Musselman wins the final set 25-12. We will have our post-game player of the year, post-game, Money Mar post-game player of the game in our post-game show. You are live with Home Team Sports TV.
Meet Cheryl Yates at ERA Liberty Realty. With over 30 years of experience, Cheryl provides each of her clients with the best level of customer service, along with helping families with the next phase of their life. The buying and selling process comes natural to Cheryl, as her understanding of the housing market allows her the ability to answer any questions that may arise. With offices in both Jefferson and Berkeley counties, she works hard to ensure the outcome you deserve. Cheryl is the key to selling or buying your home.
Juwan is the ultimate hype guy. I love him. He's always positive. He's always pepping them up and firing them up.
Come on, Parker, work, Parker, work, Parker, work, 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 work.
Hi, this is Carrie with Home Team Sports at the Musselman Jefferson after game show with Musselman's outstanding number 4 outside hitter, Hannah Howard. Hannah, you finished the game with 12 kills, 3 aces, and 10 service points. That's pretty good. How do you feel about that?
Pretty confident about it. I think I did pretty well.
Yeah?
Overall.
So what we were talking through most of it, you guys have a cohesiveness. Your team does, that most teams in this area don't have. And I feel that's something that can't be coached. How do you feel that your team has grown together in order to be able to have that fluidity during your matches?
Well, we've played together for years, just before high school and everything. And then we have no drama. We're all close friends, so that's how we keep it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I played for Hedgesville way back in the day, and that's how we were too. And like I said, it's not something that can be coached. You're very blessed to have that type of camaraderie with your team. In between the sets, how do you stay focused? When you know you're doing well, how do you stay focused and not go out on the court and just kind of get in the goof-off mode?
Well, in the huddle, we always talk just to stay calm and just continue having fun and just keep pushing through.
What's some good advice that Coach Martz gives you?
That's a hard one. I can't think of anything.
Does he usually say anything, or does he kind of just stand in the wayside and let you guys?
He normally lets us, do it as a team, push each other instead of getting into it.
So obviously we're going to be state contenders again, yeah?
What did you say?
State contenders.
Hope so.
Who's your biggest competition?
Hedgesville. Oh, well, around here, Hedgesville.
Yeah. What about in the state? Is it still Spring Valley?
I think Hedgesville probably. That's who we played in the state finals last year.
Very nice. All right, well, thank you very much, and congratulations on a great game.
Thank you. Am I good?
You didn't tell me I was doing this one, too.
Meet Cheryl Yates at ERA Liberty Realty. With over 30 years of experience, Cheryl provides each of her clients with the best level of customer service, along with helping families with the next phase of their life. The buying and selling process comes natural to Cheryl, as her understanding of the housing market allows her the ability to answer any questions that may arise. With offices in both Jefferson and Berkeley counties, she works hard to ensure the outcome you deserve. Cheryl is the key to selling or buying your home.
Home Team Sports post-game show with Coach Sean Martz for Musselman. How do you feel the girls did today?
I thought we went pretty well. I thought we were pretty efficient in set 1. In set 2, we kind of got a little lax and had too many unforced errors, and the score got a little close. But I thought we got it back together in set 3 and got some of our reserves in there, got some quality time as well.
Very good. Now, you guys are coming from tournaments in Tennessee and Florida, is that right?
Yes.
How did you feel about those, getting to travel that far?
It was a great experience. I mean, we took some losses. I think we finished 3rd out of 60 in Tennessee.
That's awesome.
Faced a lot of good competition. I think it's only going to make us better down the stretch.
Oh, sure. Like we were talking before the game, win or lose, an experience like that, the girls are going to learn something no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, when you're winning all the time, it kind of masks some of your weaker areas. And when you play these tougher teams, it kind of exposes some stuff you need to work on.
Right.
So I think that's kind of why we go out and play these tougher teams.
Yeah. Do you have any outlook for the rest of the season for competition in the area or in the state?
We don't really focus too much on that. We just want to be the best version of ourselves come November. And if we do that, we think everything else will take care of itself.
Yeah, I think so. I've had the blessing of watching you create this dynasty since I was in high school, and I have to say you've just done the best job that I've ever seen a coach do. So, you should be proud of yourself.
Well, we've had a lot of good kids along the way, so it's not just me. We've had a lot of kids buy in, work really hard, and that's kind of what it took, and it's kind of why we're here.
Yep, and I think you'll keep doing what you do and doing what Musselman Applemen Volleyball does, and that's win.
We hope so.
Yeah. Okay, that's it for us.
Hey, thanks,
guys.
Derek.
Thank you.
Jawan is the ultimate hype guy. I love him. He's always positive.
We are
He's
back
always
at Jefferson
pepping
High
him up.
School, where the nationally powerhouse Musselman Applemen dispatched of the Jefferson High School Cougars 3-0. And it say that in the old soccer terms, 3-0. But Jefferson became highly competitive in the last 2 sets, which gave us an amazing broadcast. I would like to thank my co-host and one of my great friends, Kerry Jackson Kirk, for joining us. I want to thank Harry Brown and H.G. Franklin for producing, helping to get everything set up. I don't think everyone realizes how much work it is behind the scenes to put on a production, and these 2 young men are amazing at what they do. To my son, Janady Amir Ahmed, for being on the camera. Thank you to my son, Braylon, for coming to show support. And to anyone else that was allowing us into your living room today and rocking with the home team, thank you. We could not do this without you. So from Home Team Sports, good night, God bless, and peace out.
Thank you guys so much.